Well, I'm back. Yeah, I took a bit of a hiatus from making these videos for a couple of weeks. For the first week, it was because I wanted to catch up on Game of Thrones before the finale, which I did, but barely. I think I finished Battle of the Bastards on the Sunday on which the episode was released. So that was pretty tight. And then the week after that, I was just doing lots of work. But whatever, you don't care. Let's just continue where I left off. Or more or less. So I see, yeah, more or less where I left off. I'll probably go back a little bit, because it's been a while. So yeah, Chris is being held captive by a bunch of familiar faces. I do not remember his face, nor I know if he is from his team, Mewtwo noted. That Gygas person said to Bilch that there are only 3 chosen ones. But what about this one, who is borrowing Nessa's appearance? To further add to the confusion, I can sense that strange psychic energy within him. I can sense that strange psychic energy within him, whatever. Though it is extremely feeble as it is. I do not know if we were meant to take him down. Chris gulped and shrank back. Sonic grimaced. Aren't you two probably thinking too much? I saw this guy walking with... He pointed at the Lucario. Someone else who looked like your brother or something. You two look the same. Another Lucario, you say? The Lucario asked, looking a little surprised at that statement. He narrowed his eyes at Sonic. Are you sure you did not confuse some creature from this world with me? I'm sure he looked just like you. He had the same unneeded spikes on his wrists and between his man boobs. Firstly, your descriptions about me are sick. And secondly, that's impossible, the Lucario growled. The chances of Master Hand actually having a spare Lucario besides me are non-existent, just like having a spare Sonic. I was never told about having a replacement ready when I was with his side. I am a formidable fighter who needs no replacements. The teen-turned boy was unearthing a lot of info just being silent, and he was thankful that staying silent to listen to them was helping him to forget that he was caged up. Unfortunately, he knew full well that the worst was going to happen soon if he said the wrong things to them. What? Chris thought to himself. What does he mean by... Enough, you two, Roy spoke annoyed. This is the worst accent I've ever done. Sonic was lucky enough to have Reconnaissance as his job. We haven't practically done anything in here, other than hiding the location from mind readers and other supernatural forces Master Hand may have used on the worlds. Not even Ness can detect this zone as long as we are in here. That makes us look like some freak viruses, Pichu muttered. Arrgh! What do we do with this wrong boy? So that was a bit southern. What do we do with this wrong boy? Wolf chuckled. Well, since it is speculated that he was traveling with the psychic boy, why don't we just simply use him as bait to lure the rest here? He suggested. That could work, but it would draw too much attention, Mewtwo said. Despite our large numbers, Lord Taboo wants us to take Ness down when he isn't accompanied. His other allies could get in the way and we could have a chance to lose. Sonic started laughing loudly, much to their chagrin. Are you kidding me here? Why would we lose if we're a lot? Aren't you supposed to be the smartest guy of the team? He asked with a teasing grin, which was replied by a narrow glare from the psychic. We cannot take any chances here, Sonic. Precautions must be taken if we want to succeed in this mission to take Ness down for good. We cannot underestimate the boy, as he does have psychic powers. I remember that you are quite useless against psychics. Or am I wrong? The hedgehog gasped and shook his head in defiance. What the... No, I don't suck around psychics. I just gotta smack 'em first before they get to me, he shot back. Anyway, what about this other kid cosplaying as the other target? Wolf asked. Every time Chris was mentioned in some form by them, he felt even more threatened and tried to fight back really hard to scream. If we can't use him as bait, what then? Do we just keep him here or do we get rid of him? Letting him go would just alert everybody about what's hidden in here. And if we... and if we attack him, that would work against us because of you-know-what, Roy said. What? They're not going to attack me, Chris thought in shock. Mewtwo sighed. A real shame this factory lacks any other rooms to properly keep hostages away from others. We cannot have him talk to the other strange creatures and let him cause some sort of commotion in here, he pointed out. This room is, he eyed Chris and then strangely to the wall across, unsuitable for noises, yet it is the only one we can use for him at the moment. Wow, they actually thought about every possibility I could take. This is the worst thing that has happened to me, the teen-turned-boy thought, dismayed. Given the situation, we can't have him alone either, Mewtwo said. Someone has to keep tabs on him so he doesn't try to escape from here. Roy, you do the honours. Roy grimaced at the psychic. Why me? He asked. Wolf is too proud to do this. Sonic will most likely fall asleep on the job. Pichu is too weak should he let his guard down. I'd rather keep everything else in order. And Lucario is too violent for his own good, Mewtwo summarised, much to the overall annoyance of everyone else. Burp, you forgot about me, burp, Belch pointed out. I actually can't remember the voice I did for that guy. I think it was something like that. Mewtwo shrugged. I like some torture now and then, but letting you be the guard for him would be too much, he said. The others exchanged horrified glances and shuddered at the thought, and so did Chris. Belch could only burp angrily. Roy, this is why you're the best one for the job. Do you understand now? Yeah, I think, Roy trailed off. Feeling that he was tricked into doing guard duty, the swordsman just stepped forward and sat down on the cold floor. Good, you understand, Mewtwo said before turning at the rest. Everyone else should stay on standby in the factory while I try to come up with an alternative to deal with Ness. While I try to come up with an alternative to deal with Ness. We're running out of time now that he has surely gained intel about what happened at the valley. With that being said, the psychic calmly floated away from the room, followed by the other dark villains, who gave Chris one chuckling glance before they left. The World Traveller. Oh damn! It's written in. That's capitalized. That's an official title. The World Traveller wanted to sigh, as Jeremy Clarkson would say, the best traveller in the world. Fucking shoot me. The World Traveller wanted to sigh, but just knowing that an evil version of Roy was looking at him kept him from remotely doing any body motion. But he settled with sighing really slowly and looking forward into the white steel wall above the door. The only means of escape he had. So he did perform some body motions then, didn't he? Good one, Aura Channeler, Chris. It's really nice when you contradict yourself literally in the same sentence, like multiple times. But you know, it's not my job to complain. It's my job to read it. Although I do a lot of both, frankly. Chris was rightfully scared of what was going to happen to him in a short while. Well, you know what happens in prison. The fear of dying a premature death at the hands of those shadow maniacs was the last thing that he thought would happen too soon, but there he was, trapped in a dangling cell and feeling hopeless about what to do. He was surrounded by enemies capable of tearing his limbs apart, though he wasn't so sure about Pichu after that comment Mewtwo made about him being weak, and he wasn't sure if he could manage to escape to call for help. Since he was cornered to his mind, with Roy being down there and watching him, only Chris's thoughts served him for solace. Calm down, you're going to be fine if you don't do anything reckless, he thought to himself as his sight was completely fixed on the wall, though it was tempting to try to steal glances from the Shadow Minion with his sharp sword. Even if the chances to escape are really abysmal, I have to think hard about what I can do in case I ever get a real chance to escape. He closed his eyes to think where he was. Given that he saw Master Belch, there was no doubt that he was in the factory level of the game that imprisoned Mr. Saturns for evil purposes he forgot about. Okay, so I guess Master Belch is a character from Earthbound. Thanks for enlightening me about that Aura Channeler, Chris. It's really great that you let me know instead of just letting me guess by reading further into the chapter. Really thoughtful of you. You're a good guy and an excellent writer. Prior knowledge from Lucario not being to locate the factory behind the waterfall had convinced Chris that the factory was gone, until he woke up inside of it anyway. If that had been true, it puzzled the boy that Lucario couldn't find it.
Then he recalled something that Mewtwo said to his comrades, something about them all being living methods that prevented supernatural forces and other mechanical devices from tracking them down. While Chris didn't know exactly how that was even possible, he didn't try to question that logic for too long, given the world he was travelling around in was utterly absurd in treating common sense right. I can't critique that sentence too much. I suppose it does function as a sentence, but from a writing perspective, it's a little oddly structured and phrased. So their presences made Lucario's aura obsolete. I am screwed, he thought first, before slowly descending to depression. Should I give up now, then? He thought to himself as he embraced his knees and rested his forehead on them. Is this really how I'm going out? Ellipsis, 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 ellipsis. Maybe, Chris. We'll have to find out.